Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Ace and today is devlog episode 4. And I have so much to tell you in this video of what I've gotten done. So, first of all, we have a name for the Sandbox Survival game, finally. And that name is Aldoria. The name of the game is Aldoria, and I think that is just such a cool and kind of magical sounding name. I think it's perfectly fitting for what I want this game to be. And speaking about that, I have a really big announcement later on for what the game is going to be. But anyway, let's get on with what I've been working on. Okay, so rather than just having a video of the gameplay with me talking over it, I want to actually show you the changes that I made. And if you guys like that style, please let me know. But anyway, first thing I did on the project was work on the UI. I made an awesome pause menu. It has custom animations for when you hover over all of the buttons, and I think that that is really, really cool because that is actually the first time I've ever done that for a game. So I think it turned out pretty well, or pretty good, not pretty well. Um, and then I also made the main menu, and of course I have Aldoria right up at the top. It looks so cool, doesn't it? I love that font. And again, we have the cool buttons with the animations and that. And the background of the game, I know it looks pretty dull. It's just basically a green platform blended in with the skybox, which isn't the best, I know, but that will be a like kind of like a preview, I guess you could say, of the game I want it to be. And maybe like as we update the game and different things like that, we can kind of change what it's showing and different things like that. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. I haven't fully decided on what it's going to look like, but I just know that I kind of want that to look into the game or something like that and kind of like have a I don't know. But anyway, next thing I worked on was doing some networking for the game. Or actually, I ended up trying to put off networking, I should say, because, yeah, I really didn't want to work on that. So, I ended up redoing all of the terrain shader. Like, all of it. I ended up creating an entire shader. Well, not like I use shader graph, but I ended up creating a new shader with shader graph all from just scratch. I ended up creating my own blender for blending different colors together because the shader graph blender just wasn't working at all, so I ended up having to create my complete own custom one. I had a ton of biomes that I had blending into each other, and then height separation that would blend like the beach into the actual like kind of grass texture, and at some point I want to add in like actual texturing to it because I haven't done that. It's kind of just blank, but um I worked on that for a little while, and the reason why I actually redid the entire terrain shader is because redoing it like this allowed me to have all of the calculations be done on the GPU for all of like the colors and different things like that. Will calculate it based upon the height of each vertice in the terrain. And rather than having the CPU calculate it like I have been doing, which is extremely laggy for generating terrain, I've put all of that work onto the GPU now, which is made for doing stuff like that. So that should hopefully help the performance a lot. And again, to put off doing networking, I ended up trying to fix the laggy terrain even more by introducing threading, which allows all the vertices to be calculated in the background, so that way the game can still run mostly at full speed. So that way it's not lagging down the game because it's taking up front-end processing when that front-end processing could be doing something completely different, like actually allowing you to move or look around. And I also added in chunk generation. So that way we now not only have less lag, but we also have like 100 times further render distance, which is so much nicer. Sadly, when doing this, I ended up messing up the water, making it super laggy, and the edges also no longer match up. So, like, the seamless look I was going for didn't really isn't working. Like, you can so tell all of the different seams in between the each water chunk, and it just looks so bad. So I'm gonna need to fix that later. And it also ended up being a lot laggier because I tried to introduce threading with the water, and the water didn't like that. So it just became extremely laggy. Now I managed to fix some of these problems, however, the it's still not really matching up super well, so I'm gonna have to look into fixing that a little bit more. But it's pretty good for now. And then after an eternity of putting off networking, I finally started working on it. Now, to figure out how to do networking, I ended up going on the good old YouTube and looking for how to do networking. And I found this great video by Tom. Um, it's he actually made his own networking. It's called Riptide Networking, and oh my, did it help so much with doing the networking for this game. Like, I haven't done that much networking for the game, but what I have done so far, oh my, it's so much nicer than any of the other networking solutions I've looked at for the game. Um, so thank you so much, and if any of you guys want to go check him out, I highly recommend it. I will leave a link to his video or his channel down in the description. But anyway, I started following his tutorials and I added in player movement, player joining, server starting, and I made it all work as a lane server. And if you don't know what a lane server is, it's pretty much a simple server, at least from what I understand, that can be started on the um, actual game rather than having a dedicated server. Plus, not only that, it most of the time will only it really only is supposed to work for your network. However, if you do port forwarding and different stuff like that, you can make it available on a public network, but that all is like a pain in the butt because I know I've had to do it before, and oh my gosh, is that a pain in the butt to do. But anyway, it is working really nice. And I also ended up adding in a new window on the main menu, which allows you to join onto the server um, via a server list. It has all of the current open servers on a list, and all you have to do to join that server is click on the server that you want to join and click join. Well, as long as it doesn't have a password lock or anything like that. But I haven't introduced any of that yet to the game, and I also don't have multiple servers running at the time, so the server list really only has one server hard-coded into it, which is my server, which I'm doing for beta testing reasons so that way, well, I can just easily hop onto my server without doing a ton of extra work, which I haven't done yet. So, yeah. Um, but anyway, yeah. Now, I also want to create a way to have accounts for the game, which will be really important because without accounts, it makes it really easy for like it makes it easy and difficult for different people and for different reasons. So pretty much for me, it's really difficult because without accounts, I have no way of telling servers what player is what player. Because when a player joins onto the server has no idea who on earth that player is. So it assigns that player a ID given by the server. And from there, it can remember that player as long as they're in the game. And they can go around, pick items up, put it into their inventory, all good, right? Until they log off. Then the server completely forgets who that person was and has no way of figuring out who they were or really saving it into their database at all because it has no idea who that person was. And when they join back on, it's going to assign them a completely new player ID. So without doing account IDs in which, or accounts which the server can get from an account server, which will probably be hosted by, like, I will have made and host so that way, um, and I will like host it securely, and that will allow the server to then say, hey, a player joined, who is this? And then the account server can give an account ID, and then the server will be able to go, okay, now I know who this player is. I can save their inventory and different things like that. And that way then when they log off and join back on, it can be like, hey, I know you, you're blah 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 ID. And it can get your information, give it back to you, and it will have your position saved, your inventory, all of that stuff, which will be really nice. Plus, not only that, without a account ID, or an account rather, it makes it really easy for people to join onto your server, be really mean, maybe destroy your stuff or whatever, and then you might want to ban them from your server because they were not being good. And if we don't have an account ID, then pretty much what will happen, or if we don't have an account rather, like an account system, then someone can basically go and be like, oh, okay, well then I'm gonna go, or that person can go, okay, well I'm just gonna create a new character, join onto that server again, and because the server will be like, oh, okay, you're a new character, so you're welcome onto the server. It's not gonna recognize you as that banned character. So it'll just let you onto the server again. And the person who runs server will have to continuously ban that person because the game, like he's just constantly creating new characters and the game is constantly letting him in. Where if he had an account, if he got banned, he wouldn't be able to just create a new character, join onto the game, and, well, join onto the game again. Like, the game would recognize him as that player account and keep him banned. But that is why I want to do that because, like I said, with the account, like, it just makes it so much nicer for server management and for me actually being able to make the server run easily and not have to do a ton of extra work to try and register a player on server side and save his information and different things like that. And finally, after doing all of the networking and stuff like that, I added in some chat, which, or I started adding in chat rather, because it is definitely nowhere near finished. But it's simply for me to get feedback from the server when I build the game into like its own program. So that way I can join a client onto the server. However, when I do that, the chat or I won't have like a um debug console which will give me messages about the server and different things like that. Where like in the editor, I will have that debug console to get messages. So having a chat box up in the top corner of the screen will be really nice because I'll be able to get messages from the server and different things like that, so that way I can debug stuff even when I'm in a build rather than in the editor. Which it's a little bit harder to debug stuff in a build because I have to edit it in the editor and then create another build and yeah, but anyway, it still allows me to be able to debug stuff in case, for whatever reason, me building it messes something up, or I don't know, whatever might happen. It's nice to have something like that. Especially in case if maybe I do something and I'm running the server on a build rather than in the editor, and I'm just doing whatever I might be doing, and there might be an error that comes up that I didn't think would happen, but I wouldn't know it because I wouldn't have any kind of feedback. And I might be able to do the same thing on the editor, but I wouldn't have been doing that thing that caused the error again. Or might not. I might find it years down the road, or months down the road, or however long down the road, and be like, wow, that's great, and then have to go back and figure out what the heck that was. So, having a chat box really helps. Um, and finally, it is time for the big announcement about the game that I promised in the very beginning. So I've been working on this game for a while now, and I've been planning out the gameplay and the storyline, the name, what makes it unique, and I really want to show all of you a little bit of what I have in store for the finished game. And because it will take me some time to do all of this, I want to release a trailer for the game when we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you all want to see that, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot, it helps the channel out a lot, and it would just be greatly appreciated. But anyway, that's all from me for now, and I will see you all next week. Bye!